doing? So here we are. It is Tuesday, art stream. Kind of been fucking up the times. Haven't been so on schedule. Wanted to do 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then I started doing 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now I'm even late for 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 5:23. Let's see who's in here. Do we have our people in here? Oh, hey, we have Wonder Girl 60s. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you in here. Very nice, very nice. And we have the nation state, Ola. I think it says Ola. G Money. Hey, everyone. And Maria Markovic. Hello. Very nice name. Anon user says, the intro is great. It reminds me of Geneva Jacuzzi. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's pretty chill. It's pretty groovy. A friend of mine made it. Spike in Madness says, hello and buongiorno. Buongiorno. Sorry. I'm like being retarded. I can't say that for some reason. Fox Mulder's in here. He says, yo. Hey everyone, how's it going? Hopefully Jay pops in here soon, and Stephen 4X, and some of the people, Sandra, and what have you. But right now, yes, Tuesday art stream. Last week we went through Yale's art history courses. Yale's art courses, Yale's art history courses in general, and what they have to offer, and also the news that the only good thing that the Yale Art History Department offers, the Yale Art Department offers in general, is the standard art history classes. And just as I was looking into that and preparing for these streams, then the news came that Yale is canceling their art history class, and apparently they're breaking up the curriculum and they're separating it into different classes. I don't agree with it because I like the standard art history course. I like the standard art history book, which is why I was looking up the course. And I decided, well, we're gonna go through some of the Yale art history curriculum. So follow along. We are going through the intro right now of the Yale book, art history book. The standard books are like this big, the art history books. We're going through right now the intro of the Yale one, and then we're going to cross over into a copyright-free website that really pretty much like goes through all of the art history segments that parallels that book. So we'll get into that. But right now we are still working through the intro, and I think there's some really interesting things to go through in there. Let me see. Yeah, so I will put links when I have those art history courses that we're going to go through. It's something called Lumen Learning. I'll see if I have a link to, no, I think I just have a file to this book that we're going to go through, the intro to that. So I'll try to keep you guys up to date with links and everything that I'm sourcing. But yeah, also don't forget, this is what I'm doing for work right now until I start booking Lady Alchemy gigs. I am back in New York City, so got to pay that New York rent and shit. So if you want to help contribute to this February goal, my finger looks really white, you can't even see it, but that is the February goal, and it is week 2. So I would like to get to what is it, 50% by, I don't know, the next few days. Doesn't look like it's happening. We're stuck at 34%. So if you want to contribute, please go to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. The link is right there, and really help that goal get up there. And yeah, so in the art history book, in the introduction, we were slowly. Oh. Yay, that's fun. We have a new person that subscribed. Hey. And anyway, so yeah, we were slowly getting through the intro. That's okay. We'll slowly get through this stuff. No rush. and we stopped in the middle of a thing somewhere in this first part of the questions that art historians ask. We were in one of these things, and we'll just brush up. Art history in the 21st century, that's the chapter, and then the questions art historians ask. So, oh, we have another subscriber. This is great. Yeah, I want to hit that 10K mark. So, also make sure people subscribe. That is also just as good as helping me out up there. But yeah, so art history in the 21st century is the chapter, and it's an interesting thing to think about. 21st century, what is art history? That was the kind of things we went over last week, so check out that video. And in this part of that chapter, we were going over the questions art historians ask, so you can kind of get into the mindset of the types of things they ask and why they ask them and what art history is about, and dissect it that way. But the things that they ask is, how old is it? And that is, let me get the part of the chapter up and we'll start browsing through, shall we? Give me a second. Give me a second. No. All right, right now we are looking like that. Maybe I should zoom it in bigger. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the bigger the better with this. Let's see how that looks. Yeah. What do you think? How does that look, guys? We looking all right? We got Stephen Forex says here, just lurking, watched on TV as ever. Cool. Patrick McMullen, hope you are keeping well. Big Wig says hi. Hey, everyone. Cool. We are here. Okay, so where were we? We were up here. What is art history? Art history in the 21st century. The questions art historians ask. How old is it? They need to be sure of the date of the things that they are looking at. It's physical evidence. There's different ways of figuring out how old it is. Documentary evidence, internal evidence, stylistic evidence. Speaking of stylistic evidence, what is style? And there's different art styles depending on the time period. So that's why they can distinguish how old something is through a style, because there's different time periods something was in fashion to do. They can kind of dissect that. Sometimes it's totally different in the same time period, but it depends on where they are. So the location can help you figure out exactly something about this piece of artwork. And they were showing these two churches, and I think that, what is it, around the same time? Yeah, it's around the same time. This one's 1294 and this one's 1284, and they have extremely different styles for these churches, because this one is in France and this one is in Italy, and they had totally different styles. So that's period style, regional style, personal style. They were going through this painting too, which was a particular style that was in the same time period as another artist, and they were just showing how different this was. This is some political piece about some judges that like had these two like people killed, and like just kind of having the judges looking at their dead bodies and the stairs of the courthouse and what have you. So that's interesting. And then we were at, I think, where we left off is what is its subject. So another major concern of art historians is, of course, subject matter. Some artworks, such as modern abstract paintings, have no subject, not even a setting. You know how we all love abstract art. I'm actually, I used to hate abstract art, but I actually don't hate it as much as I used to when studying art in high school. I liked really traditional stuff. But anyway. But when artists represent people, places, or actions, viewers must identify these aspects to achieve complete understanding of the work. Art historians traditionally separate pictorial subjects into various categories, such as religious, historical, mythological, genre, which is daily life, portraiture, landscape, a depiction of a place, still life, an arrangement of inanimate objects, and their numerous subdivisions and combinations. So that is interesting. The subject matter itself is stuff that art historians think about. Iconography, literally the writing of images, refers to both the content or subject of an artwork and to the study of content in art. By extension, it also includes the study of symbols, images that stand for other images or encapsulate ideas. In Christian art, two intersecting lines of unequal length or a simple geometric cross can serve as an emblem of religion as a whole. So sometimes people think it's like some white supremacist thing, but it's like not. Symbolizing the cross of Jesus Christ's crucifixion, a symbol can also be a familiar object, the artist imbued with greater meaning. A balance or scale, for example, may symbolize justice or the weighing of souls on Judgment Day. Artists may depict figures with unique attributes, identifying them. In Christian art, for example, each of the authors of the New Testament Gospels, the four evangelists, has a distinctive attribute. People can recognize St. John by the eagle associated with him, Luke by the ox, Mark by the lion, and Matthew by the winged man. Cool. Pictorial clues revealing the painting's subject. The work's date must be after the trial and execution, probably while the event was still newsworthy. Oh, wait. Oh, oops. Sorry. I'm not reading like a normal book. I'm being retarded here. I think they're going to get to it right here. Throughout the history of art, artists have also used personifications, abstract ideas, codified in human form. Worldwide, people visualize liberty as a robed woman with a torch because of the fame of the colossal statue set up in New York City's harbor in the 19th century. I love that depiction of Columbia, the Columbia goddess, the liberty. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, that's what this figure is right here. Let me show it to you guys on screen. Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is a terrifying late 15th century depiction of the fateful day at the end of time when, according to the Bible's last book, death, famine, war, and pestilence will cut down the human race. The German artist Albrecht Dürer, 1471 to 1528, personified death as an emaciated old man with a pitchfork. Dürer's famine swings the scales that will weigh human souls. War wields a sword, and pestilence draws a bow. So what was this under? The subject matter. Yeah. So using personification and shit. But this is what I love about studying art history. Definitely, you can see what yesterday's conversation was, the importance of art in culture. And art history really shows the importance of it and why it is that it's valued in every great civilization and stuff. And for this, there's a lot of religious depictions you'll see with art history. And Catholicism goes hand in hand with art and art history. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. All right. I'm glad someone thinks it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating too. Even without considering style and without knowing a work's maker, informed viewers can determine much about the work's period and provenance by iconographical and subject analysis alone. In The Passion of Sacco and Vanzetti, figure 1-4. Ooh, which one's that? Oh, yeah, this one that they talked about up here as well. So this one, we're going back to these guys. This social injustice inspired by the trial and execution of two Italian anarchists, Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti. Many people believe Sacco and Vanzetti had been unjustly convicted of killing two men in a holdup in 1920. The painting compresses time in a symbolic representation of the trial and its aftermath. The two executed men lie in their coffins. Presiding over them are the three members of the commission, headed by the college president wearing his academic cap and gown, and that declared the original trial fair and cleared the way for the executions. Behind the wall of the stately government building hangs the framed portrait of the judge who pronounced the initial sentence. So, yeah, that's what that's about. Some anarchists that got killed and the people that put them away. So they go back into that. So, in the Passions of Sacco and Vanzetti, for example, the two coffins, the trio headed by an academic and the robed judge in the background are all pictorial clues revealing the painting's subject. The work's date must be after that trial and execution, probably while the event was still newsworthy. And because the deaths of the two men caused the greatest outrage in the United States, the painter, social critic, was probably American. So, yeah. And figuring out the dates of artwork and who made it. Now we're going to who made it. But yeah, figuring out what is the subject matter and figuring out the dates of that. Okay, now let's go to who made it. So if Shahan, I don't know how to say his name, Ben Shahan, that's the artist of this painting. So if that artist had not signaled his paintings of Sacco and Vanzetti, an art historian could still signal. So if that artist hadn't signed his paintings, an art historian could still assign or attribute the work to him based on knowledge of the artist's personal style. Although signing and dating work is quite common, but by no means universal today, in the history of art, countless works exist whose artists remain unknown. Because personal style can play a large role in determining the character of an artwork, art historians often try to attribute anonymous works to known artists. Sometimes they assemble a group of works all thought to be by the same person, even though none of the objects in the group is the known work of an artist with a recorded name. Art historians thus reconstruct the careers of artists such as the Achilles painter, the anonymous ancient Greek vase painter whose masterwork is a depiction of the hero Achilles. Scholars base their oh my god, I'm gonna get like flustered with the words. Attributions? Is that how am I saying it right now? I get like all flustered sometimes reading out loud. On internal evidence such as the distinctive way an artist draws or carves drapery folds, earlobes, or flowers. It requires a keen, highly trained eye and long experience to become a connoisseur, an expert in assigning artworks to the hand of one artist rather than the other. I mean, that is a huge, huge responsibility to do, is to take a bunch of anonymous artwork and attribute them to artists, and you're like pushing them onto famous artists because of personal style, and you're assuming that artwork belongs to them. I mean, if there's one career that would be decent if you're an art major, would probably be art historian. That's like a decent job. I don't know why I am so white in this. Let me try to fix this white balance. I'm constantly fixing it. I think that's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. me check in on you guys as well. How are you guys doing? You okay? We okay in here? You're awfully quiet, guys. Anything to add to the conversation? We got 37 people in here, and you look lovely. Meh. Okay, I mean, I'll continue to read if you just want me to keep talking, but I was hoping this would be a guide for conversation. I can change the exposure, but I don't like it when I turn it down. Then it gets like weird and dark looking. And I mean, I just have a really bright light and a really shitty like camera on the computer. So, anyway, I'm just gonna go back to my little lesson here. Okay, so now but in many times and places, artists have little to say about what from their work artists had little to say about their work, pretty much. They toiled in obscurity, doing the bidding of their patrons, those who paid them to make individual works or employed them on a continuing basis. The role of patrons in dictating the content and shaping the form of artwork is also an important subject of art historical inquiry. And that's what I think is also important, is who's paying for shit and art and paying for things. And it is really important for art history because that is what is shaping our knowledge of history. Usually it's through art. It's like I said last time, especially before photography and before video cameras and before any of this stuff, we definitely have used art, but things were definitely they had benefactors and patrons and stuff. So who is paying for this shit? Catholic Church definitely at some point. In the art of portraiture, to name only one category of painting and sculpture, the patron has often played a dominant role in deciding how the artist presented the subject, whether the patron or other person such as a spouse, son, or mother. Many Egyptian pharaohs and some Roman persons insisted that artists depict them with unlined faces and perfect youthful bodies, no matter how old they were when portrayed. Yeah, kind of like filters and shit. And what is it called? What are those? Facetune and shit. And injections and shit. In these cases, the state employed the sculptors and painters, and the artists had no choice but to depict their patrons in the officially approved manner. Being bought and paid for. All modes of artistic production revealed the impact of patronage. Learned monks provided the themes for the sculptural decoration of medieval church portals. Renaissance princes and popes depicted the subject, size, and materials of artworks destined sometimes for buildings constructed according to their specifications. Okay. An art historian could make a very long list along these lines, and it would... Excuse me. They need to chill out there. Okay. Renaissance princes and popes. Oh my god! Can you guys hear this honking? Okay, now they stopped. Now they want to stop. Okay. I hear a lot of clinking and clanking back there, too. Fucking garbage truck. Okay, anyway, Renaissance princes and popes dictated the subject size and materials of artworks destined sometimes for buildings constructed according to their specifications. An art historian could make a very long list along these lines, and it would indicate that throughout the history of art, patrons have had diverse tastes and needs and demanded different kinds of art. Whenever a patron contracts an artist or architect to paint, sculpt, or build in a prescribed manner, personal style often becomes a very minor factor in the final appearance of the painting, statue, or building. In these cases, the identity of the patron reveals more to art historian. In these cases, the identity of the patron reveals more to an art historian than does the identity of the artist or school. Anyway. So that's interesting. I mean, this whole who paid for it is really interesting to me. And this is something that we need to kind of understand and study and sort out if we want to talk about culture war at all. Oh, wow, we went through that, did we? Huh. Okay, well, now I have more to add to my list, because now we're going to the words art historians use. So, this is an interesting part of the chapter, because in order to continue on to understand art history and learn about it, there are certain things in art vocabulary that you're going to need to understand, and ways of thinking that you're going to need to understand, and the way that art historians use certain words. Maria, I'm in Brooklyn, and Hollywood God, another art stream. This is the art stream. This is art history. Yesterday was just like a chit-chat day. That's the kind of day that we talk about whatever, any subject. And the week prior, we talked about the simps versus chivalry. So it was like kind of like etiquette, kind of political. Yesterday's definitely more like, Mondays are definitely more political, kind of, more political. This is just straight up like art history. So anyway, so going to this, like all specialists, art historians have their own specialized vocabulary. That vocabulary consists of hundreds of words, but certainly basic terms and are indispensable for describing artworks and buildings of any time and place. They make up the essential vocabulary of formal analysis, the visual analysis of artistic form. Definitions of the most important of these art historical terms follow. Form and composition. I love composition. That's one of my favorite words. Form. Interesting. Form refers to an object's shape and structure, either in 2 dimensions, for example, a figure painted on a canvas, or in 3 dimensions, such as a statue carved from a marble block. 2 forms may take the same shape, but differ in their color, texture, and other qualities. That's interesting. Form. Oh, I like that. I'm going to use form more often. The shape of things, the physical shape of it, and the structure of it. Cool. I like that. And composition refers to how an artist composes forms in artwork, either by placing shapes on a flat surface or by arranging forms in space. I like that. Form and composition. Material and technique. To create art forms, artists shape materials, pigments, clay, marble, gold, and many more, with tools, pens, brushes, chisels, and so forth. Each of the materials and tools available has its own potentialities and limitations. Part of all artists' creative activity is to select the medium and the instrument most suitable to the artist's purpose, or to develop the use of new media and tools such as bronze and concrete in antiquity, and cameras and computers in modern times. The process artists employ, such as applying paint to a canvas with a brush, and the distinctive personal ways they handle materials, constitute their technique. Form, material, and technique interrelate and are essential to analyzing any work of art. So, yeah, using materials. I love materials too. Oh, yeah. I love silk and marble and stone and wool. I like materials. I like plastics too. Ooh. One time my friend came, one of my gay friends came, we're crafting, making costume stuff. He came over with like sheets of colored transparent plastic. I was like rolling around like plastic. I was like, I love materials. And technique, how you use those materials is unique to the individual artist. And line. Line is one of the most important elements defining an artist's shape or form. A line can be understood as the path of a point moving in space, an invisible line of sight. But more commonly, artists and architects make a line concrete by drawing or chiseling it on a plane, a flat and two-dimensional surface. A line may be very thin, wire-like, and delicate. It may be thick and heavy, or it may alternate quickly from broad to narrow, the strokes jagged or the outline broken. When a continuous line defines an object's outer shape, art historians call it a contour line. So they're talking about like actual paintings, so lines. So the different lines and brush strokes, I guess, is interesting to art historians. And when they do like shapes that like outline stuff like really hard, it's called the contour line. All of these lines, line qualities are present in Dewar's Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Contour lines define the basic shape of clouds, humans, and animal limbs, and weapons. Within the form's series of short broken lines create shadow and textures. An overall pattern of long parallel strokes suggests the dark sky and the frightening day, on the frightening day when the world is about to end. Yeah, I don't like plastic in a sense of polyester materials in clothes. I absolutely hate that. What I'm talking about plastic is like, I would show you right now because I have a really cool plastic like raincoat too. But what I'm talking about is like PVC plastics in fashion. Like it's like kind of a thing lately in fashion, and I love it. I just like love like transparent PVC plastics. Also for costuming and stuff, it's just super fun. And then we have color. Light reveals all colors. Light in the world of the painter and other artists differ from natural light. Natural light or sunlight is whole or additive light, as the sum of all the wavelengths composing the visible spectrum. It may be disassembled or fragmented into the individual colors of the spectral band. The painter's light in art, the light reflected from pigments and objects, is subtractive light. Paint pigments produce their individual colors by reflecting a segment of the spectrum while absorbing all the rest. Green pigment, for example, subtracts or absorbs all the light in the spectrum except that seen as green, which it reflects to the eye. So basically what they're saying is like light, color with light and color with pigment is different. So like light in color is, what did they call it? Additive or some shit. Basically it contains like all colors in light. But in pigment, it's like kind of opposite and does like different stuff. And so I think that like if you're looking at something, that's kind of how some of those like special glasses things work too. Or when you use like a Photoshop or some sort of like post kind of things for Adobe, you can have different filters for black and white and the different like red or whatever black and white. I think that's like also kind of similar to the way like light works with colors. All right. Anyway, red, yellow, and blue are primary colors. Okay, so this is super interesting, and I love this. Yes. I love like color things. So there's pigment colors, there's light colors, and they all do their own special weird things when you mix and combine them, and that's really exciting. But I'm not sure how old this book is, but it says that red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors, and I love those primary colors, but apparently they're not primary colors anymore. You guys may have seen, like, for example, the primary colors on a printer. It's like fuchsia and magenta and like chartreuse or something. That's apparently what real primary colors are, It's not red, blue, and yellow anymore. But the secondary colors result from the mixing pairs of primaries. Orange is red and yellow, purple, red and blue, and green is yellow and blue. And complementary colors, I'm obsessed with complementary colors. I notice them all the time, are orange and blue. They're the opposite on the color wheel. It's purple and yellow, and red and green. They complement each other, and one absorbs color and the other one reflects. Okay, what do we have here? Artists can manipulate the appearance of colors. However, one artist who made a symmetric investigation of the formal aspect of art, especially color, was Joseph Albers, 1888 to 1976, a German-born artist who immigrated to the United States in 1933. In homage to the square ascending, figure 1-6, which is this figure above, I think you guys can see, you have here, one of hundreds of color variations of the same composition of concentric squares. Albers demonstrated the discrepancy between physical fact and psychic effect. Because the composition remains constant, the homage series succeeds in revealing the relativity and instability of color perception. What? Okay, wait. He painted hundreds of canvases with the same composition, but employed variations in color, saturations, and tonality in order to reveal the relativity and stability of color perception. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess he's done a bunch of these and did different color combinations and shows how they look different. But Albers varied the saturation, a color's brightness or dullness, and tonality, lightness or darkness, of each square in each painting. As a result, the sizes of the squares from painting to painting appear to vary, although they remain the same. And the sensation emanating from the paintings range from the clashing dissonance to delicate serenity. In this way, Albert proves that we see colors almost never unrelated to each other. Wow, that's very interesting. Did we all understand what's happening there? Did you guys get that in this thing? So this guy made this painting exactly the same way on hundreds of different canvases, but changed the tonality and the color variations of each of the squares, and it made them look like all the paintings had different size squares and shit was going on. So what they're saying is that we almost never see color individually. We see things with color as a relationship to each other because we're seeing the squares in different sizes. It's showing that it's having an effect with their relationship together, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. So let's see, where are we? Hundreds of variations. The relativity and instability of color perception. Okay, let's see. In this way, Albers proves that we see colors almost never unrelated to each other. Artists' comments on their own works are often invaluable to art historians. In Art Through the Ages, which is this book that we are looking at, artist commentaries appear frequently in boxed features called Artists on Art. So another thing that art historians talk about is texture. I also love texture. Fuck, I love these things. Texture is a quality of a surface, such as rough or shiny, that light reveals. Art historians distinguish between true texture, or the tactile quality of the surface, and represented texture, as when painters depict an object as having certain texture, or even through the pigment, or even though the pigment is the real texture. Texture is, of course, a key determinant of any sculpture's character. Like Bernini's. Yeah, his texture. People's first impulse is usually to handle a piece of sculpture, even though museum signs often warn do not touch. Sculptors plan for this natural human response using surfaces varying in texture from rugged coarseness to polished smoothness. Textures are often intrinsic to a material, influencing the type of stone, wood, plastic, clay, or metal that sculptors select. Space. That's what dance is all about. Dance is all about space. Space is the bounded or boundless container for objects. For art historians, space can be the literal three-dimensional space occupied by a statue or vase, or contained within a room or courtyard, or it can be illusionistic, as when painters depict an open image or illusion of the three-dimensional spatial world on a two-dimensional surface. Hey, friend report. What's up? Well, I've been on for 50 minutes, so we've been going through this art history stuff, this introduction on... Oh my. So thank you for joining us. You just caught us in the middle of something. And I might have a break in about 9 minutes, so sorry about that, but it's my break time. So another thing is perspective. Perspective is one of the most important pictorial devices for organizing forms in space. Throughout history, artists have used various types of perspective to create an illusion of depth or space in two-dimensional surface. The French painter Claude Lorrain, 1600 to 1682, employed several perspectival devices. Embarkation of the Queen of Sheba, 1-7, which is right here. Let me make sure you guys can see it. A painting of a biblical episode set in the 17th century European harbor of a Roman ruin in the left foreground. For example, the figures and boats on the shoreline are... Let me see if I can read it and show you guys that picture. I can't right now. The boats on the shoreline are much larger than those in the distance. Decreasing an object's size makes it appear farther away from the viewer. So again, here we go. Boats in the foreground compared to the boats in the background, which are smaller, make it look like in the foreground. Again, study on perspective. To create the illusion of deep landscape, this French painter employed perspective, reducing the size of and blurring the most distant forms. All diagonal lines converge on a single point. That's hard to explain to you unless I can draw it out for you on this, but I can't. Also, the top and bottom of the port building at the painting's right side are not parallel horizontal lines as they are in a real building. Instead, the lines converge beyond the structure, leading viewers' eyes towards the hazy, instinct sun on the horizon. These perspectival devices, the reduction of figure size, the convergence of diagonal lines, and the blur of distant forms have been familiar features of Western art since the ancient Greeks, but it is important to note that at the outset of all kinds of perspective are only pictorial conventions, even when one or more types of perspective may be so common in given culture that they are accepted as natural or as true means of representing the natural world. Let me just see what else they're talking about with these lines. It's a beautiful painting. Love it. Anyway. In white and red plum blossom, figure 1-8, which is right here. A Japanese landscape painting on 2 folding screens. Agata Korin, 1658 to 1716, use none of these Western perspective conventions. So this is interesting how they're showing like two completely different stuff compared to the Western. See how we have all this depth and perspective going on there, showing you now this Japanese style with totally different conventions and ways of doing art. This one, he showed the two plum trees as seen from a position on the ground while viewers looked down on the stream between them from above. Okay. Oh, I see what's happening now. Less concerned with locating the trees and stream in space than with composing shapes on a surface, the painter juxtaposed and contrasted the water's gently swelling curves with the jagged contours of the branches and trunks. Neither the French nor the Japanese painting can be said to project correctly what viewers in fact see. One painting is not a better picture of the world than the other. The European and Asian artists simply approach the problem of picture making differently. So they have two different stylized ways of showing things. That's right, Douglas, Lady Alchemy art teacher. Anyway, do you guys see what we're talking about here with the two different paintings, with the French guy and the Japanese guy, and the way that they depicted this depth of field, this water tree building boat situation. All right, and on that, I would have 4 minutes, but I might just go take a break right now before we get into the next one. So let me see what we have. Foreshortening seams. Yeah, we'll get into foreshortening later when I get back from this commercial. So let's see what we have here. We have foreshortening. Oh, cool. I love it. We're going to discuss Peter Paul Rubens. Nice. 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 And then we have some Egyptian stuff. Stuff from Nigeria. Architectural drawings, relief sculptures, proportion and scale. Alright, so we'll get back to it when I get back. Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. I tend to lose people whenever I go on a break, but just like enjoy the music, enjoy the visuals, enjoy the art. I'm just gonna take a few minutes, maybe make a pot of coffee, go to the bathroom, chill, and don't go anywhere. And no, was I coughing? Oops. I feel like I have to sneeze. I don't think I have coronavirus. Oh, excuse me. Ah. Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to continue back with some art history lessons. It's super fun, just chit chat. You can, don't forget also to help this go up. We need to hit 50%, okay? 40% by today would be great. We get that to go up a bit, and you can help that by going to that link there, streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV. Okay, good friend report. You stick around. We've just been going through some art history. If you want to, maybe this break is like 10 minutes or some shit. If you want to go back, check out some of the beginning for 10 minutes and then check in back with us, you can do that. All right, be right back. What should I do? What commercial should I do? Okay. Okay, how you guys doing? I put my sweater back on. I wear my hoodie every day. Have my cappuccino. Tastes lovely. It's hot. Anyway, where are we at? Where are we at? So we are going over art history in the 21st century. Questions art historians ask: how old is it? What is its subject? who made it, and who paid for it. You can hear my radiator whistling. Got the radiator on. And now we are at the words art historians use, and we're going all over these. If this was literature class, we'd be going over the literary elements, but it's art. It's an art stream, and we're going over elements in art, like texture and whatnot. Texture and composition. Okay. And now we are at foreshortening. Oh, that radiator is going. It's a going. And don't forget to help me reach 50%. That would be great. 40% today would be great. We're so close. We're at 34.5%. Let's get to 40. Okay, radiator has shut up. We are at foreshortening. Artists also represent single figures in space in varying ways. When the Flemish artist Peter Paul Rubens, 1577 to 1640, painted Lion Hunt, figure 1-9. So let's find it. This one, Lion Hunt. Cool. He used foreshortening for all of the hunters and animals. That is, he represented their bodies at angles to the picture plane. He represented their bodies at angles to the picture plane. Oh, I see what he's talking about. They're all kind of facing the picture, orthogonal to us. When in life one views a figure at an angle, the body appears to contract as it extends back in space. Foreshortening is a kind of perspective. It produces the illusion that one part of the body is farther away than the other, even though all of the forms are on the same surface. Especially noteworthy in Lion Hunt are the gray horse at the left, seen from behind with the bottom of its rear hoof facing viewers and most of its head hidden by its rider's shield. Okay, let's see over here. Oh, I see. Okay, so over here, on the left, the guy with the red shirt, and he has a shield. You can see his back hoof and his tail, and his head is foreshortened in the back behind the shield. And the fallen hunter at the painting's lower right corner, whose barely visible legs and feet recede into the distance. Yeah, so this guy laying down with the knife in his hand underneath the horses, underneath this foot, and his feet are receding in the back. So that's that foreshortening. And yeah, pretty much all of the animals and everything in here is foreshortened. Sorry, just taking a sip. How we feel about foreshortening, guys. Foreshortening, the representation of a figure or object at an angle to the picture plane. It is a common device in Western art for creating the illusion of depth. Foreshortening is a kind of perspective. Okay. The artist who carved the portrait of the ancient Egyptian official Hesire, is that how you say that? Is that how you say that? Okay. This did not employ foreshortening. So they like to show in contrast to this foreshortening of the Peter Paul Rubens with this ancient Egyptian thing on the left here. And a lot of Egyptian art does not use foreshortening. They do the opposite. They like to show all limbs and all things. I think it was like a bad omen if they didn't have all limbs in the picture or something. That artist's purpose was to present the various human body parts as clearly as possible without overlapping. The lower part of the Hesar's body is in profile to give the most complete view of the legs, with both of the heels and toes of the feet visible. The frontal torso, however, allows the viewer to see its full shape, including both shoulders, equal in size as in nature. Compare the shoulders of the hunter and the great horse, or of the fallen hunter in the lion hunts. The other picture. Compare to the other picture above people's shoulders and torsos and the dimensions of them. The result, an unnatural 90-degree twist at the waist, provides a precise picture of a human body's parts. Rubens and the Egyptian sculptor used very different means of depicting forms in space. Once again, neither is the correct manner. Different ways of looking at people's space. So proportion and scale is another thing. Proportion concerns the relationship in terms of size of the parts of persons, buildings, or objects. Correct proportions may be judged intuitively. That statue's head seems the right size for the body, or proportion can be mathematical relationship between the size of one's part of an artwork or building and the other parts within the work. Proportion in art implies using a module or basic unit of measure. When an artist or architect uses a formal system of proportions, all parts of a building, body, or other entity will be fractions or multiples of the module. A module might be a column's diameter of the height of the humans, or the height. Module might be a column's diameter, the height of a human head, or any other component whose dimensions can be multiplied or divided to determine the size of the work's other parts. Okay. Yeah, proportion and scale. That radiator. It's going. In certain times and places, artists have formulated canons or systems of correct or ideal proportions for presenting human figures, constituent parts of buildings, and so forth. In ancient Greece, many sculptors formulated canons of proportions so strict and all-encompassing that they calculated the size of every body part in advance, even the fingers and toes, according to mathematical ratios. Proportional systems can differ sharply from period to period, culture to culture, and artist to artist. Part of the task art history students face is to perceive and adjust to these differences. Sipping intensifies, that's right. In fact, many artists have used disproportionate distortion deliberately for expressive effect. Dewar's Death, figure 1-5. Let me see. Go back to 1-5. That was 1-5. Oh yeah, this one. The Four Horsemen. Let's see what they said about that. Has hardly any flesh on his bones, and his limbs are distorted and stretched. Disproportion and distortion distinguish him from all the other figures in the work precisely as the artist intended. Let me go back. Which one's decrepit? Oh, it's the old guy. Yeah, his limbs are all like skinny and disproportionate. Oh, I see. Yeah, it is weird. Huh. See him at the bottom left here? Okay. And his limbs are distorted and stretched. Disproportion and distortion distinguish him from all the other figures in the work precisely as the artist intended. In other cases, artists have used disproportion to focus attention on one body part, often the head, or to single out a group member, usually the leader. These intentional, unnatural discrepancies in proportion constitute what art historians call hierarchy of scale, the enlarging of elements considered the most important. On a bronze plaque, figure 111, from Benin, Nigeria, the sculptor enlarged all of the heads for emphasis and also varied the size of each figure according to its social status. Central largest and therefore the most important is the Benin king mounted on horseback. Oh, look at the little horse and all the other people, and he's the biggest, and their heads are all the biggest. The horse has been a symbol of power and wealth in many societies from prehistoric to present. That the Benin king is disproportionately larger than his horse, contrary to nature, further aggrandizes him. Two large attendants fan the king. Other figures of smaller size and lower status at the Benin court stand at the king's left and right in the plaque's upper corners. One tiny figure next to the horse is almost hidden from view beneath the king's feet. Let's look at it again. Oh yeah, I see the tiny figure beneath the king's feet. And the tinier stature people. One problem that students of art history and professional art historians too confront when studying illustrations in art history books is that although the relative sizes of figures and objects in a painting or sculpture are easy to discern, it is impossible to determine the absolute size of the work reproduced because they all appear at approximately the same size on page. Readers of Art Through the Ages, which is this book that we're going through, can determine the exact size of all artworks from dimensions given in the captions, and more intuitively from the scale in inches or feet that appear in the lower left or right corner of each illustration. Huh. Okay, I see it right here. It's just like 1 foot little bar. Shows you how big it is. It's interesting. Cute, thanks. Thanks, book. So cute. Carving and casting. How are you guys doing? Are you guys all right? Any questions? Any comments? Any super chats? You know what I mean? Okay. Okay, we'll keep going. Carving and casting. Sculptural technique falls into two basic categories, subtractive and additive. Ooh, I love this part. This is fun. Carving is a subtractive technique. The final form is a reduction of the original mass of a block of stone, a piece of wood, or another material. Wooden statues were once tree trunks, and stone statues began as blocks pried from mountains. An unfinished 16th century marble statue of a bound slave, this figure right here that you guys are seeing, by Michelangelo Buonarroti, 1475 to 1564, clearly reveals the original shape of the stone block. Michelangelo thought of sculpture as a process of liberating the statue from within the block. Oh, I love that. Yes. Okay. Yeah, nation state, that would be great. If all of my viewers put in $1, that would be really, really helpful. Thank you. It really means a lot because otherwise I have to figure out how else to make money. Today it's been 0 and I have to figure out how to make this happen in my life. So anyway, going back to carving and casting, this sculptor thought of sculpting as a process of liberating the statue within the block. I love that. All sculptures of stone or wood cut away, subtract excess material. When they finish, they leave behind the statue, in this example, a twisting nude male form whose head Michelangelo never freed from the stone block. Wow, he never freed that shit from the stone block. But again, this is, I think, a topic for another Monday, but you will see. Nudity and art goes hand in hand, and there's a lot of interesting stuff. Oh, PayPal. Thank you, Wonder Girl 60s. I really appreciate that. But yeah. Michelangelo never freed him from his stone block. In additive sculpture, the artist builds up the form, usually in clay around a framework or in armature. Or a sculptor may fashion and mold a hollow form for shaping or casting a fluid substance such as bronze. That is how the Benin artist made the bronze sculpture of the king and his attendants up here. Huh. This is bronze. Cool. Relief sculpture. Statues that exist independent of any architectural frame or setting. Oop, I think we got something came in. Ah, we got Eduardo with 5R. I don't know what the R is there. What's the R? Thank you for that. No comment? Friend report. Help, my head is stuck in a block of stone. Right? Use a chisel. Love it. Yes, in additive sculpture, the artist builds up, like when you do clay, shaping or casting, doing molds. Oh, relief sculpture. Statues that exist independent of any architectural frame or setting and that the viewer can walk around are freestanding sculptures or sculptures in the round. In relief sculpture, the sculpture projected from the background but remains part of it. In high relief sculpture, the images project boldly. In some cases, like figure 111, the relief is so high that not only do the forms cast shadows on the background, but some parts are actually in the round. In low relief or bas relief, figure 110, the projection is slight. Relief sculpture, like sculpture in the round, can be produced either by carving or casting. Okay, so let's look at this. In some cases, figure 111, the relief is so high. Not only do the forms cast shadow on the background, but some parts are actually in the round. So 111. This is a really high relief. The one on the right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Really, really pronounced relief. And then we have low relief, figure 110. The projection is slight. So yeah, this one is definitely like carved in from the wood, but it's like not as protruding as the one on the right, for sure. Yeah. Huh. The projection can be slight. Can be produced either by carving or casting. Oh, so yeah, you can do it by either carving, which is what the one on the left is, or casting, which is the one on the right is. Cool. Makes sense. Got it, got it. Freestanding sculpture can also be cast in molds, but artists more frequently carve statues from stone or wood, cutting away excess material to leave behind the shape of a human figure or other subject. Cute. Oh, Brazilian currency. Cool, Eduardo. Thank you so much for that. Cool, cool. Stephen 4X said sculptures are even more amazing as there's no room for mistake, I suppose. Can't add back on. Think of the time taken and you make a mistake. Wow. Yeah, I agree. That is really freaky. That would be something that freaks me out about carving a sculpture for sure. Architectural drawings. Oh yeah, so part of this art history book and course they go through architecture as part of art history, so it's really a fun part of it too. It's an aspect of it. That is why I thought it was really important when I worked at Rebel to go and see the Notre Dame when it was burning. I went to Paris within hours, like the following day, because it happened at night, and then the following morning I was there. And I thought it was a really important event in history because I know about art history and how important that is. Stephen Forex said, I like that incomplete work even better. It's more fascinating in a way than a completed piece. Yeah, and that's the thing. There is a balance of kind of like something disheveled, but at the same time something respect for like the hard work of doing something traditional and classical, but throwing in a little bit of something in there that's different, and that's really cool. I think it's pretty avant-garde, especially for the time that this was made in the 1500s. Just like, yeah, nah, man, it's avant-garde, dude. I'm not finishing this. It's the way it is. It is finished. I love it. But yeah, architectural drawings, buildings. Wait. Unbelted Sundew said, actually, you can glue things back onto the sculpture fairly easily. In fact, many Renaissance sculptures are made from multiple pieces of marble fused together. What? I don't know. That's crazy. Architectural drawings. Buildings are groupings of enclosed spaces and enclosed masses, such as walls. People experience architecture both visually and by moving through and around it. So they perceive architectural space and mass together. Architects can represent these spaces and masses graphically in several ways, including as plans, sections, elevations, and cutaway drawings. A plan, essentially a map of a floor, shows the placement of a structure's mass and therefore the spaces they bound and enclose. A section, like a vertical plan, depicts the placement of the masses of a building where cut through along a plane. Drawings showing a theoretical slice across a structure's width are lateral sections. Those cutting through a building's length are longitude sections. And elevations drawing is a head-on view of an external or internal wall. A cutaway combines an exterior view with an interior view, part of a building, in a single drawing. Illustrated here are the plans are the plan and lateral sections. Figure 113. Okay, so what is this one? This one on the left, figure 113, and lateral section on the right of the Beauvais Cathedral in France, rebuilt after 1284. So architectural drawings are indispensable aids for the analysis of buildings. Plans are maps of floors, footprints of the structure's masses. Sections are vertical slices across either the width or length of a building. So above is the lateral section. Okay. I get it. And on the right... Oh, no, excuse me. The plan is above, right? Yeah, so that's called the plan. This is like a floor plan. And the lateral section is on the right. Okay. Okay. And lateral sections of this cathedral, which may be compared to the photograph of the church's choir in figure 1-2. Oh, yes. Let me see it. This is the same church, the French one that we saw above. Let me see. Okay, so this is the floor plan and then the lateral thing. Let me see. Okay. Oh, what was that? Oh, thank you. Rock Muncher, $5. Thank you for that. Where did that come in from? We have, since you're talking about carvings, do you have any favorite woodcuts? They're a fascinating concept considering the early parts of the period in which they were often made. Well, that's interesting because I can't think of a favorite piece necessarily. Maybe if I really look through some art and think about it, but I'm from New York, and what people don't understand is that New York State is actually very beautiful and lush and mountainous and has lots of trees and it's very woody. And so upstate, it's a lot of like log cabin type, like in the mountains, snow kind of thing. And there is A lot of wood cutting upstate. They do even the whole carvings with the chainsaw and everything. But yeah, wood carving is the thing upstate New York, and it's really cool. It's really beautiful. But I have seen some things in like the Metropolitan Museum of Art that is insane wood. I love wood actually. Also in those old homes, those old Victorian homes that we have upstate, a lot of the interior is wood, and there's a lot of like those wood engravings on the like staircase things, and just like wood. I love like wood engravings, and a lot of those like estates and things have a lot of really intricate wood everywhere. But I love that. I love crown moldings too. Any moldings in a house is cool. But there's some beautiful wood sculptures and stuff. It's really cool. Oh, no way. Eduardo said, everything I've seen from carving that I still have memory of was made by Jonathan Paggio. Oh, I love him. I've mentioned him on my show before. I used to love watching his videos. Okay, going back to this floor plan, shall we? Where are we? The plan shows not only the choir's shape and the location of the piers dividing the aisles and the supporting the vaults above, but also the pattern of the crisscrossing vault ribs. The lateral section shows not only the interior of the choir with its vaults and stained glass windows, but also the structure of the roof and the form of the exterior flying buttresses that hold the vaults in place. Yeah. We got some flying buttresses. We're chilling. Scales accompany all plans in art through the ages to indicate the size of buildings. Many of the architectural photographs include people for the same reasons. Aw, cute. This overview of the art historian's vocabulary is not exhaustive, nor have artists used only paintings, drawings, and sculpture and architecture as media over the millennia. Ceramics, jewelry, textile, photography, and computer art are just some of the numerous other arts. All of them involve highly specialized techniques described in distinct vocabularies. As in this introductory chapter, new terms appear in italics, accompanied by their definitions whenever they first appear in the text. Definitions of all terms can be found in a comprehensive glossary at the end of the book. Ugh, I love these books and their glossaries. Oh my god, it's so good. So good. I don't know about you guys, but I get excited about textbooks. Art history and other disciplines. By its very nature, the work of art historians intersects with that of others in many fields of knowledge, not only in the humanities, but also in the social and natural sciences. Today, art historians regularly must go beyond the boundaries of what previous generations considered to be the province of art history. Art historical research in the 21st century is frequently interdisciplinary nature. To cite one example, in an effort to unlock the secrets of a particular statue, an art historian might conduct archival research hoping to uncover new documents, shedding light on who paid for the work and why, who made it and when, where it originally stood, how contemporaries viewed it, and a host of other questions. Realizing, however, that the authors of the written documents often were not objective recorders of fact, but observers in their own biases and agendas, the art historian may also use methodologies developed in fields such as literary criticism, philosophy, sociology, and gender studies to weigh the evidence the documents provide. Oh, see what they're doing. See what they're doing here. I wonder how many conservative art historians there are. You see the value in that, maybe. It's interesting. Interesting. I'm pretty sure. The thing is, like, I feel like art historians should be conservative, but I feel like all the girls, it's definitely girls that are studying art history mostly. But I just see them being like kind of like nerdy liberals. I don't know, but they always find a way to get in there somehow. To weigh the evidence the documents provide. At other times, rather than attempting to master many disciplines at once, art historians band together with other specialists in multidisciplinary inquiries. Art historians might call in chemists to date an artwork based on the composition of the materials used, or might ask geologists to determine which quarry furnished the stone for a particular statue. X-ray technicians might be enlisted in an attempt to establish whether a painting is a forgery. Of course, art historians often contribute their expertise to the solution of problems in other disciplines. A historian, for example, might ask an art historian to determine, based on style, material, iconography, and other criteria, if any of the portraits of a certain king were made after his death. That would help establish the ruler's continuing prestige during the reigns of his successors. Man, there's shit going on out there. Jeez. But the academic world, be it when it comes to art or pretty much any other, even non-humanities, is cancerous nowadays. Yeah, I know, but it is really important to not just forfeit the educational system and the academic world to the left, but to see how they're moving and working and counter that accordingly. But to just give up on it in general and not see and not notice what they're doing, not investigate what they're up to, I think is a mistake. So here I am, just on the stream, making $5 to show you guys what's going on in the University Academic Art History Department. Okay, an hour and 40 minutes we are at. So I guess we're going to continue on and keep adding more. Oop, fuck, what did I do? What did I do? I didn't mean to do that. Hold up. Okay. I'm going to update what we're working on today. I'm going to add a little things here, different ways of seeing. Okay, cool. Got it. Cool. Yeah, let's just finish up the section and then we're pretty much gonna get to next week, prehistoric art. Get into some actual lessons. This will be fun. This will be fun. Yay. Ooh. Okay, different ways of seeing the history of art can be a history of artists and their works, of styles and stylistic change, of materials and techniques, of images and themes and their meanings, and of contexts and cultures and patrons. The best art historians analyze artworks from many viewpoints, but no art historian or scholar in any other field, no matter how broad-minded an approach and no matter how experienced, can truly be objective. Like artists, art historians are members of a society. They are members of a society, participants in its culture. How can scholars and museum visitors and travelers to foreign locales comprehend cultures unlike their own? They can try to reconstruct the original culture context of artwork, but they are limited by their distance from the thought patterns of the cultures they study and by the obstructions to understanding, the assumptions, presuppositions, and prejudices particular to their culture. Their own thought patterns rise. Art historians may reconstruct a distorted picture of the past because of culture-bounded blindness. Culture-bound blindness. Oh my God. Infinity said, I feel like Martina could stream for 6 hours reading and discussing with viewers. I really could. I really could. If it was gonna make me money, I would. And I think this is what we need for culture. Talk about culture where we bitch about the left, but hello. Art history lesson. Boom. This is Yale textbook material. Okay, where are we? Culture-bound blindness. A single instance underscores how differently people of diverse cultures view the world and how various ways of seeing can cause sharp differences in how artists depict the world. Illustrated here are two contemporaneous portraits of a 19th century Maori chieftain. I don't know what that is. Some Maori thing. Figure 114. So here, there's this guy, right? This guy. One by an Englishman, John Sylvester. I'm pretty sure we can figure out which one is the artist for that one. And the other by the New Zealand chieftain himself, Te Pei Kupe, 1829. Both reproduce the chieftain's facial tattooing. The European artists included the head and shoulders and underplay the tattooing. The tattoo pattern is one aspect of the likeness among many, no more or less important than the chieftain's dressing like a European. Sylvester also recorded his subject's momentary glance toward the right and the play of light on his hair. Yeah, that's true. Fleeting aspects that have nothing to do with the figure's identity. In contrast, Te Pei Kupe's self-portrait, made during a trip to Liverpool, England, to obtain European arms to take back to New Zealand. Yeah, that's right, because New Zealand is like was a colony of New England, so they have this weird connection. Ow, these earrings. Vintage clip-ons hurt. Ow. Damn, it's too bad. That's cute. These are really cute. They're like these vintage, like, pearly kind of earrings, but what's cool about it, I don't know if you could see it, but they have some like metal filigree on the inside. It's actually like really nice. It's not like some cheap shoddy looking thing. It's like that metal filigree. Anyway, yeah, he went to go take arms in New Zealand, in Liverpool, to take back to New Zealand. It's not pictured of a man, it's not a picture of a man situated in space and bathed in light. Rather, it is the chieftain's statement of the supreme importance of the tattooing design and symbolizes his rank among his people. Remarkably, Te Pei Kupe created the tattoo patterns from memory without the aid of a mirror. Cool. These splendidly composed insignia presented as a flat design separated from the body and even from the head is the guy's image of himself. Only by understanding the cultural context of each portrait can viewers hope to understand why either image appears as it does. As noted at the outset, the study of the context of artworks and buildings is one of the central concerns of art historians. Art Through the Ages, this textbook, seeks to present a history of art and architecture that will help readers understand not only the subjects, styles, and techniques of paintings, sculptures, and buildings and other art forms created in all parts of the world for 30 millennia, but also their cultural and historical contexts. That story now begins. Dun dun dun. That story now begins. Cool. So yeah, their whole point was just like, here's a portrait of some dude made by some British guy of a New Zealander, and then this is the guy's self-portrait that he made, and you can see the different techniques used and the importance of that, and historical context or cultural context is what, you know, how he portrayed himself, and what mattered was his tattoos was the focal point, and this Western art was like a lot of other stuff that they saw in him to depict his portrait. So context matters. Okay, I kind of don't want to continue on to the next chapter, but we have about 15 minutes left-ish. So I don't know, maybe we'll just chit-chat about some other stuff, because I think that we should start next week clean and fresh with this prehistory and the first civilizations chapter. I think that's what we should do next week. Not gonna get into that. So maybe we'll chat about other stuff. I will take some questions and comments right now. In the meantime, okay, yeah. Anything going on, guys? Okay, I think that someone may have sent something via PayPal, which is awesome, and that helps. Thank you guys. If anyone has any comments or questions, let me know. Thank you so much, people in that sends stuff in PayPal. It really helps a lot. Thank you. Someone, Infinity, is asking, when is Alchemy? Alchemy is tomorrow. We have outer work. And shit, I need to get the book. Oh, I think I may have the book. I still need to talk to the author. What is the best platform to donate through? Good question. It depends on what you want to do, really. Doing the whole PayPal thing is just fine if you want to keep that anonymous and not get into some weird thing. But if you do want to get involved in this graph and this chart, is it right here? Yeah, this graph, this chart, and help that goal out, you can always just simply go to streamlabs.com/Martina Markota TV, and you can always help play that and make that like grow by going onto that. And I think you can use either a card or PayPal. There's different types of payment there. That is always like really good for me too. If you want to be a continuous supporter, you could always go on Patreon and look up my stuff on Patreon. I think there's some links out there. Just look up Martina Markota on Patreon, and that way you can help regularly, every month if you want. So this is what I'm trying to do. I think it's been really fun. I don't know about you guys, but I do hate streaming, but I'm actually really enjoying doing some of this because I'm in my 30s and I do miss education. I think education is really important for culture on the right and everything, so, and society in general, but for us on the right who bitch about culture, I think it's really important. And I think that this is practicing what you preach kind of thing. I don't want to just complain. I want to provide an alternative. So here's some stuff that I think is important, that I think is relevant to culture and helping the right. Thank you for that, Stephen. Yeah, there's the Patreon you can be a part of. Thanks, Stephen. Says he likes the art streams, always the most fun and interesting. Yeah, maybe I should think about the streams. The etiquette's fun. The Monday's just kind of an open day. Maybe we, it can always be an open-ended art stream day. And then we have the official art history stream. And then there's the alchemy streams. I don't know. I was thinking about adding maybe some literature to it too. I've never really been big into literature or English class or any of that stuff. However, I do think there is an importance for literature. Like I understand that as far as, again, this culture war, and I think that would add. And I think that there are things that I actually do want to read and go over maybe with you guys, and that could be kind of fun. Oh, we have Jared Weaver in here. Thank you. He says, I'm in my late 30s and working on postgraduate history. Cool. It is so great to have your streams on while reading and writing. Oh, I love that. So great. I wish that I were better at this, but I really appreciate that. Yeah, Eduardo says he really likes the art streams too. Yeah, Eduardo says, I kind of ignored literature for a long time, but I rediscovered it recently when I was passing through bad times. Yeah, I've done the same thing actually for reading. And I was not really a big reader growing up. I liked math and art and all that stuff. I hated reading. But then when I was in my early 20s, I was going through a hard time and felt a bit like confused about what I wanted to do with myself, a little like just like too much time on my hands and whatever, and didn't know what life was about. So I just started picking up a book and reading, and it was great. And I love reading now. It totally changed my whole perspective on reading, and I think I have the same thing for all subject matters now. There's a whole new respect for it, including spirituality and my own faith that I grew up with culturally. So is this something like an early 20s crisis? I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe you're just sitting around and it's what is there to do in your life? Yeah, anything mandatory is awful. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. And I mean, when I was going to be a high school math teacher, and I did study some really good educational things at NYU, some educational electives, and I don't know, just teaching and learning that kind of concept is really interesting. People learn in all different ways. We learned about like 7 different methods of learning and teaching and stuff. But I think what I'm all about is going back to like Plato and Socrates' time, where you had like a wise person and you learned from them and they taught you various things. It wasn't just like, here's one subject, here's another subject, and here's another subject, and they're completely separate. I think that they actually come together a bit, and a wise person knows how to kind of teach a broad thing where they all interconnect, and I think that's really important. Do you read ancient Greek metaphysics and is that philosophy? Yeah, I mean, I used to have like books on like Immanuel Kant and like all sorts of different philosophy and morality and ethics and things like that. Yeah, I love all that stuff, but it's not like I read it now. But in my 20s, I love collecting these books and going through discovering books. I mean, I still love it. When I went to my mom's house, I was like in the basement discovering all my old books again, like, oh my god, this book. The Truth Will Live said, not because of art history being bad, but the way it's taught in universities is awful. Yeah, exactly. That's true. He also said, we only read postmodernist bullshit in college. I have to read real things on my own. And yeah, and I think that's exactly the point, is that the right bitch and complain about leftist takeover in universities or whatever, but that does not mean I don't appreciate education. And in fact, these institutions were conservative for such a long time that the left even pretend they still are to get even more of a foothold on them. But they were conservative at one point, but I don't think that I don't appreciate education. I totally love education. I think it's important for civilization and cultures, and we should be pro-education, but obviously we understand how these like institutions are leftist and brainwashing, but we should encourage people to learn on our own and do stuff. And that's why this is the kind of material that I'm trying to present to you guys, is to just do this like self-learning. Let's all have a discussion. That's what pretty much a lot of these classes are when I went to NYU, and obviously minus the like calculus classes or physics or whatever, which is pretty straightforward math and physics classes, like old school chalkboard type thing. All of the other classes, whether it's art history, literature, about these education classes, and it's a lot of discussion and just going over some points, topics in class, and chit-chatting about it and having a little like powwow. It's pretty much university classes for you. I'm glad I don't have to deal directly with postmodernist content in college. Engineering gang, yeah, me too, totally. Seems like the move went well. Glad you're live streaming. Thank you. Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn. I'm really happy about it. Just waiting for my guy to come over, and live streaming every day. Glad to be back. education as it is today isn't something that I can defend, really. I honestly think the world would be a better place if universities stop existing. Yeah, but I totally agree with you, but I think education, the concept of it in general, like I said, Plato, Socrates type thing, is really important, and we should be promoting that, not necessarily valuing like my old school European family mom, like parents like value getting a degree. Like they just think degree is on one level but are not realizing the indoctrination bullshit that it is. But I do appreciate the concept of education. I think it is important to be learning. The only places still trying to teach real things are places like Thomas Aquinas College or similar places. You can't exercise Christianity from the curriculum, and that's what happened. You can't excise Christianity from the curriculum, and that's what happened, especially art. Yeah, I remember in like 2013 or something looking around for some good universities that weren't brainwashed leftist indoctrination, looking for some maybe Christian ones. If you don't know about Christianity art history makes zero sense. If you don't know about Christianity art history makes zero sense. I agree. Totally agree. Highly connected and important. Jared Weaver says, you're absolutely right. Categorizing subjects hampers learning growth. Showing the connections between subjects help expose the bias and propaganda pervasive in today's academia. Education made to create robots, not thinkers, need a lot change, like Finland. Yeah, that actually also reminds me. So I did study abroad in China in 2008, and I remember a really huge learning lesson. There were a few learning lessons, definitely some commie stuff in there, and whatever, just general things, and their cultural things. But something that was also very apparent really quickly was that the Chinese are really known for like good grades, meaning like smart, right? But they're actually really good at memorizing and being robots. Not being racist here, but like that's like they admit that. I read that in a book like out there. Like it's just like a fact that they are pretty like robotic. Like, oh my God, Roger Scruton got in trouble for saying this too, actually. But Americans are actually, we have more days off at school. We're not so like obsessed with grades and memorizing things and getting everything like perfectly accurate. But we do think outside the box more often. So we're more innovators and creative and woo! Oh, Stephen Forex came through last minute. Thank you. Thank you.
Education is important, but we have too many junk degrees being studied nowadays. We don't need 1 million video game designers or TV studio production people.
I agree. I'm going to say that again. He said education is important, but we have too many junk degrees being studied nowadays. We don't need 1 million video game designers or TV studio production people. Yeah, it's absolutely correct. I was always a believer of education is getting more and more expensive, yet less and less valuable. So it's a bad investment, I think. So you're not guaranteed a job at the end of it, and you're still in debt, and it's a bubble that's going to burst. But if you are going to go to school and get a degree in something, it should be something valuable. Yeah, a lot of things require basic degrees, so just getting any general, what is it called? I don't know. At NYU, it's like a CAS, just like a liberal, I don't know. Any subject really is pretty good for having a basic job. But if you're going to specialize in a field, it has to be something good. It should be something medical or whatever, or law or science or something. And definitely don't need 1 million video game designers or TV production people, for sure. Thank you for that, Stephen, by the way. Thank you. You made my day. Thank you. You had to make it a round number. Oh, thank you. You got me to 40. Thanks, Stephen. You're the best. Yes. Stephen flexing that he has an income. I know, right? Greeks received art creativity as a gift from the muses, Christians from the Holy Spirit. We get it wrong, crediting the artist as the originator. No sense of being a vessel for inspiration. Oh my god, I love that. Thank you. I'm screen capping that, and I might share that or post that shit on Twitter. But thank you for that. There are people in my little town setting TV studios, for fuck's sake. Ooh. They have zero chance of making use of it. I wanted to make the 40% Eduardo. Thank you. Really means a lot, Stephen. I wish I could do more for you. I will keep you guys posted on the book. I am like, Weldon is just, I'm waiting for him to like, you know, he's warming up to the project and then we're going to get going. I'm really excited. Yes, education is built around rote memory, not teaching problem solving or encouraging intellectual curiosity. Livingall is a college professor. You should have him on as a guest. Oh, wow. Who are you guys? You guys know each other? Cool, cool, cool. Oh, no. Livingall, you retracted your statement. I want to know what you said. Yeah, Jay, you have to catch up on this lesson. Go back and rewatch. We need skills. If you follow despair oligarch, when the shit hits the fan, we will need our electricians, our plumbers, etc., builders. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to have some people on. Yeah, Living Gall and I are besties. Cool. Oh, I'm so glad to have you guys around. If you are artists yourselves or educators or what have you, are you on Twitter? Please share your stuff. Please connect with Jay, who has that wrench above. Maybe we can have you in our super secret chat if Jay knows what I'm talking about. She just has a crush on me. Okay, so the truth will live as a girl. Okay, cool. You guys are besties. I love it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Stephen, for getting me to 40%. Yay, 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 yay. Oh, God. Anyway, so we just wrapped through all of these things about art in the 21st century, the questions art historians ask, the words historians use, and different ways of seeing. And next week, we will start going through prehistoric times and things. I may weave in and out of some other topics that are very interesting and then jump back into it, but I think going chronologically is really cool, and it's pretty standard. Let's just do that. Sabo said, "You owe me a stream. I love to talk true paganism, not the Luciferian one, etc." Oh, yeah, sure, of course. We'll love to talk about that. We'll do Sabo. Just message me, send me a DM, or email me. The email is the same as the PayPal link, martinamarkota@nyc@gmail.com. Oh, now we have Dan. Dan, I'm about to log off. I've been on for over 2 hours. I'm done with today's stream. But it was about art history. You can go back and rewatch a stream. But if you're here to talk about alchemy, the next 2 days are alchemy streams. So, yeah, hit me up tomorrow. Alchemy. Thursday, alchemy. And if there's anything else, I'll take any last questions, concerns, comments. Don't forget to share with people. Let's get into some sort of like little art crew. If you guys are interested in our little art crew, please message Jay or DM me, and we'll get going on that. But I think we have a nice little group of people in here. Hopefully people can give me $1 or $2 every now and then. It really helps a lot. Okay, out of here. See you guys. Alchemy tomorrow. Bye.